say this all the time. I need to make that one longer because your boy needed some water after yelling about the NFL for a minute, and now we need to get that one back. Need to extend that a little bit, but it is WWE Bad Blood went down this weekend from Atlanta, Georgia, and a lot of talking points coming out of it. So let's break it down, shall we? The night begins with Drew McIntyre against CM Punk, and I thought this was exactly what it needed to be. I thought it was an excellent Hell in a Cell match. I thought every bit of brutality kind of meant something. There wasn't a lot of egregious stuff just to be egregious, and I think we know what promotion I'm talking to when I say that. But I thought that they did a really good job of kind of stringing everything together, and it wasn't just a plunder match. It was a psychologically thought out Hell in a Cell match with still enough blood and violence to justify it. I thought that, again, it got across the seriousness of the stipulation and made Hell in a Cell feel like just an absolute badass thing that you really needed to worry about. And it makes it this like absolute playground of just violence and something that will change you for a bit. And I've said before, like, I know Crown Jewel is coming up, and I know it's getting into Survivor Series, which is getting into Royal Rumble, which is getting into WrestleMania. I think Punk and Drew have to sit it out for a bit. I think you have to sell the repercussions of this for a while and do video things or whatever vignettes you need to do. But I don't think you have these guys on TV, especially like it's easy to just like go away from them because Raw is going to 2 hours now. So it's easy to just kind of pivot from those guys and do something else and let them kind of sell the effects of the match that they were just in. And then I thought after, like Punk stumbling and needing the oxygen and all of that, I thought that was really, really good. And then also, I thought the commentary of that match, and for the most of the part of the show, I thought the commentary was phenomenal. I thought Cole and Graves did a good job of setting up, again, the severity of the match type that they were in and the aggressive nature that both guys were portraying. And I thought that they added to that match spectacularly. The only thing I will say about the commentary is that I do wish Wade Barrett was on the desk there. Not that there was anything really lacking, but just, again, because one of the things that I am always saying is you need to keep this brand split. And you need to, if you want to do this, you have to take it seriously. And Graves and Cole have amazing chemistry together, and they're awesome. And obviously they follow the product and all of those things. But they are both the SmackDown guys. And so I do think you need the Raw dude there, at least to just lend a bit of the Raw voice so that it doesn't just seem like it's the SmackDown guy and then, well, it's not really, it's all WWE, and then all of it gets blurred and it doesn't work. So that's why I loved it when the initial brand split, they had the two different broadcast teams, and I understand you are limited with that when Joe Tessitore is doing college football or doing boxing or both, so that there is a limitation with that, and so I think the compromise is getting Wade Barrett on there, and it's a 3-man booth, and that's how you go about it, but that is the only knock. I thought it was really good. And then after that, we kind of dragged for a while, I thought. Bailey and Nia was all right. It wasn't amazing. It was good enough. Like, there wasn't anything awful about it, I didn't think. I thought it was fine. It definitely is setting up now Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax, and I don't know if the crowd is overly enthused to be cheering for either of them there. So it's a weird spot, I think. But I do think part of this now sets up something interesting with Bailey, because they showed before that like they were up in the box, the luxury box, with the tag team champion, the women's tag team champions, and Naomi, the hosts for the evening, which what hosting they did, but they did a thing where they were saying like, okay, women's championship matchup next. Who do we got? Like, how's Bailey gonna do? And Naomi's like, yeah, my girl Bailey, she's got this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, Bianca, what do you think? She's definitely gonna try hard. And there was a glare from Naomi, and I do think maybe we're setting up a tag team feud now with Naomi and Bailey going up against Bianca and Jade, and I think that could be interesting because this tag team division just needs some stories right now and needs some interest, and they're starting to get it a little bit with like the Kabuki Warriors and all of them, and they are getting it. They're trying, at least with like Carter and Chance and the whatever they're calling the Sonya Deville group and all of them. But this would be a good one at the top to let the other ones kind of figure out what they are doing and building up their storylines. So I think I think that could be the pivot, and I think it could be really interesting. Priest against Balor was all right. It felt like Raw. It felt like a Monday Night Raw match. They did make Priest feel like a bit of a beast when he's going out there and everyone's running in, and he's disposing of all of them and crushing them, and then he ends up getting the win. So hopefully this was enough beating down of the Judgment Day to allow Priest to go off and do something else. I think there needs to be a touch of a remake with him. You can't get too far away from the character that he is, but all of it still screams Judgment Day. And because that is the group that he is closely associated with, not just because of recency, but also like it's the biggest thing he has done in this company. And so I think that there needs to be just a slight little retool of him so that it doesn't look so connected, because I do think you now need to separate the two. The group from the guy. Triple H comes out for a massive announcement, and it is the crown jewel where the undisputed WWE champion is going to face the world heavyweight champion, and ditto on the women's sides as well. Neither title will be on the line, but the winners will be crowned the crown jewels of 2024. It is what it is. Like it's not. At least when they said, groundbreaking announcement, it wasn't a thing that was teased for weeks and weeks as something that would change the industry, and then it was just kind of a bit of a, okay. It'll get a couple of interesting matches. It is curious that you would have two champions lose on big shows like that, but I think that there's an interesting storytelling device that can come with all of that. And so I think if done well, it is something that I think you can feel confident in and actually do quite a bit with. So I think there could be something there. It is something that is also, if it was the past regime running it, I think you would have some major concerns about how it was all being put together and how it was all being booked and all of that. But I think that this is a creative department now that gives you the confidence that they're going to be able to take this seriously and actually use it in a way that helps further a few things. So I think it could be interesting, but it doesn't necessarily have my interest peaked right now. It's like a lot of things in wrestling where you're doing it for the first time, so you have to really do it to make us take it seriously. And then the Gunther Goldberg stuff, it's fine. It was a Raw segment after that. I would imagine at some point we get some kind of Goldberg involvement in something and he comes back and there's a whatever, but yeah. Liv against Rhea, it was all right. It was mainly a stage for other storyline things to happen. And that was like, you have the Hell in the Cell at the beginning. And then obviously you end the night with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in a tag team match, and The Rock comes out. So there are big things that happen on this show, but like 95% of this show felt like Raw or SmackDown. Like this did not feel like a premium live event. And I understand it is kind of a secondary one, but this, they had just enough on here to make it not skippable. And I am not going to tell WWE their shows need to be longer or anything like that, but getting into these rhythms where these are five match shows and a couple things on them that are going to happen, they're going to be interesting. The rest of it is just going to kind of be basically a souped up Monday Night Raw, and we're going to move forward with that. Like I worry that these are coming a little skippable and not maybe meaning as much. And again, it's coming from an era where some of these shows were 4.5 hours and too much was jammed onto them, and we were trying to force everyone onto everything. And like, we're getting a world title match on Raw tonight. So you are still getting a lot of very good content, and it is making the weeks and the TVs feel special and all of that. But I do think we are taking away from some of these a little bit anyway. But yeah, Liv and Rhea, it was all right. It was about the story. Raquel Rodriguez comes out. It makes complete sense. She has history with both. She is a good kind of the Diesel to Liv Morgan's Shawn Michaels. It is a little on the nose with Camille and Mercedes Moné, but that's a thing that's been done in wrestling for 100 years. So I think this role fits Raquel better. I think that she is better suited as the big bully heel rather than just trying to be like the big smiling, oh man, boy, I'm really strong, aren't I? Babyface. Like, she seems like a legitimately nice person. It just hasn't been able to translate into a character that gets people invested. So what's the thing you do from that? Just pivot and be huge and terrifying. And she can do that. There's a thing now with her and Liv as a group. You have a ready-made storyline with all the different years of things that they did with Raquel and Rhea Ripley, and how that can now grow. And then you still have a little Rhea Liv hanging over if you want to get to that at like a WrestleMania time or something like that. So it's a pairing that makes complete sense. And then the main event, it was Cody and Roman taking on Jacob Fatu and Solo, and there was the run-ins, and this Jimmy Uso is back, and we are all very excited about this. And there's the hug with Roman, and so we have now, and then The Rock comes out at the end. We have firmly started to now push this into high gear and get this storyline rolling as we push towards War Games in Vancouver, and then onward towards WrestleMania. And so the first seeds were planted here, and I am very excited to see where it goes. But yeah, for the most part, like, you have a blow-off match in Hell in a Cell, and then the rest of it all just kind of felt like we're advancing for something else. And the rest of it just felt like a really, really souped up Raw or SmackDown. So it was an enjoyable, it ended up being close to 3 hours. It was an enjoyable show. I enjoyed it. I was entertained, but I did not come away from it thinking like, man, we just saw a premium live event. What a night for the WWE. Just like, yeah, this was fun. Can't wait to see what happens next, which I guess is episodic television, but it didn't feel like a big event by any stretch of the imagination.